For World Photography Day, Mmfilmstore is honoring Gordon Parks, who was a self-taught photographer born in 1912. He was the first black photographer to photograph for Life and Vogue Magazine. One of Parks' most iconic photographs is American Gothic, a photo of Ella Watson, who Parks met in 1942 at the Farm Security Administration building in Washington, D.C.
In which I could express my own feelings. I might have turned to the gun or the knife.
Where he would later create at least 90 images of her family. American Gothic isn't just an iconic photograph, it's also representative of the complex relationship between black working-class people in America. The American flag looming over Watson's head, who dutifully poses with a broom and mop. As Parks continued to photograph her, he unveils the reality of the working class in the mid-20th century. If you haven't seen the remainder of the photographs from Parks and Watson's sessions together, they are definitely worth spending time on.
But by then I had chosen the camera.
In 1956, Parks was sent by Life magazine to photograph the Thornton family. This image, titled Department Store, was taken 2 years after the Supreme Court ruling of Brown versus Board of Education, which deemed Jim Crow laws unconstitutional. Though in the South, in places like Alabama, the Thorntons were still subjected to segregation. But this isn't what makes this image so incredible. Parks captured the humanity and elegance of these two young women. He managed to tell their story while also telling the story of the segregated South. Parks had many other images during his time in the South, like photos of Mr. and Mrs. Albert Thornton in Mobile, Alabama, Airline Terminal taken in Atlanta, Georgia, Untitled in Shady Grove, Alabama, and Outside Looking in Mobile, Alabama. The fact that images like this even exist in color shows us how close these issues are to the present. We often see images of civil rights era issues in black and white, but Parks liberates his subjects from the black and white or the black versus white by using color to shed light on problems like these that are deeply rooted in American history. So far, we've covered some incredible moments in Parks' photographic journey, and it's far from everything that this iconic photographer has done. Though now I want to focus on an important body of images that speak to the incredible diversity of his work. Where photography meets psychology, in the 40s and throughout segregation in America, a series of doll tests were conducted to study the effects of racial segregation on children. Gordon Parks documented these tests in 1947 for an Ebony magazine series, and these images played an important role in the Supreme Court's ruling of Brown versus Board of Education. This image shows a young boy seated with two choices looming over his head. The boy points to a white doll. Parks cropped this image tight, only leaving room for view of the child and the disembodied hands holding the doll. The reality of these tests isn't meant to ease our minds. It's meant to reveal an unsettling truth of what institutional racism does to the psyche.